Organic, regenerative, agroecological. These are all big, confusing words. But we live in a food system that's dominated by an industrial, conventional form of agriculture, which is contributing to the climate and nature emergency. So it's important that we understand this alternative food system and figure out who we should be supporting and why. So we've invited 4 types of farming here today to tell us who they are, what they're about, and how they farm. So over to you. Please can you introduce yourself and tell us what you're all about?
Well, I guess you call me Mr. Conventional just because I like straight rows in the fields, big tractors, herbicide, pesticide, and give me some of that good fertilizer. I need my carrots perfect for my customers. Straight, orange, straight, and orange. That's how I like it. As well as Land Rovers. So, yes.
Hello, nice to meet you, Mr. Conventional. I'm actually organic, so I'm all about creating nice, healthy soils that then leads to nice, healthy plants. I'm a very well-respected movement. You've probably got an idea already about who I am. Generally quite well trusted. Other than healthy soil, I'm also very much interested in bolstering biodiversity and also thinking quite carefully about the inputs I put into my farming methods, such as water usage and energy sources. That's organic.
Nice.
Hi, I'm Regenerative. I'm new and exciting. I want to dramatically improve the soil and grow a lot on a small area. I might be quite intensive and high input, but I also like to mimic nature's systems and steward a healthy and resilient ecosystem. I'm after healthy soil, healthy plants and healthy people, and I'm happy to kickstart the soil life by adding lots and lots of compost.
Hi, I'm Agroecological. I have been around for a while, but people have been talking about me more and more recently. So I'm all about transforming the whole food system and not just the way we farm. So it's important for me to create local livelihoods and fight for social environmental justice. So if I'm not on the farm, you might see me down at a protest with the Land Workers Alliance. I'm typically small in size. I grow a diversity of produce for a local market. And I respect that many of the practices that we're using in the alternative movement come from indigenous knowledge of nature. So I combine these methods with innovation to grow high quality produce and care for the ecosystem.
Thanks everyone. Now I want to hear a bit about how you farm. So can you tell me, how do you look after your soil?
We do soil tests every year to make sure we know exactly how much NPK we need to put in for each of our crops. That way we can get the perfect nutrients for the plant to grow. We also have satellite navigation on our tractor to make sure we're always driving on the same part of the field and not damaging the bit where we want to grow our vegetables. I didn't really think of myself as looking after soil. I'm a farmer that looks after plants primarily. I want them to be perfect so that I can sell them to the supermarkets. You also have to be very careful, because if you get too much of the good stuff out there, it can run off into the waterways and cause damage further on down the environment.
Yeah, so unlike conventional, organic is all about the soil, really, because healthy soil leads to healthy plants. So in terms of my soil, I like to think I'm building nutrients in it every year by the regular application of organic matter, mainly compost.
You think my plants aren't healthy?
Well, it's coming from the roots. And have a very strict crop rotation system, and I keep a check on my nutrient budgets, which essentially means like how much organic matter can I add and how much organic fertilizer might I need to add as well, because I just want to make the soil as healthy as possible.
Sounds good. We are kind of the same, but a bit different. Our soil is kept healthy by having a diverse range of plant roots in the ground and in quick succession. So we use lots of cover crops, and we grow a huge amount of crops in a year, so about maybe five different crops. And that means that we don't really have a rotation, because we just have so many different crops in the ground every year. It's too hard to keep track of it, and then we think that leads to having a healthy soil anyway. We also don't like to dig or disturb our soil, so we're mostly no-dig, and that keeps all the carbon stored in there.
Nice. So yeah, like these guys, I'm all about the soil and soil life being the basis of life on the farm. So I look at what happens in nature to show me how best to look after my soil, just like indigenous farmers have been doing for many, many years before me. So using cover crops, adding organic matter like compost and wood chip, and reducing use of a tractor all promote that diversity in soil life.
Cool, thanks everyone. So now for a bit of problem solving. Some aphids have appeared in your vegetables. What do you do?
That doesn't really happen to me. I follow a clear, strict plan of spraying pesticides to make sure that we do not get outbreaks of aphids. And that really means that we'll have a high quality product that we can then sell to the supermarkets. If our crops are damaged by pests, we won't be able to sell them, and then we'll be stuck with that cost. I can't afford not to, really.
Yeah, so within organic, generally we're trying to nurture a nice, complete, holistic ecosystem that has lots of predators that will help keep our pests in check. So if I had an issue of aphids, I'd hope to have a nice, healthy population of ladybirds coming in to eat up all those aphids. And in absolutely dire situations, I might use organic pesticides or organic products in order to keep things in check. But generally we're trying to have a nice balance within our ecosystem on the farm.
So I mostly agree with what Organic said, but we probably wouldn't use any organic pesticides or anything at all.
Oh yeah, it's same with me really, and I'd be a bit worried about conventional down there killing some of those ladybirds and the other predators of aphids when they kind of routinely spray, so yeah, want to avoid doing that at all.
Thanks everyone, great to hear about how you farm. But how do other people know how you're farming? Do you have a certification system in place?
No, I don't have a certification system in place, but there are a lot of regulations I have to follow in terms of what I can and cannot do. As I said previously, if we put too much fertilizer in, it can damage the environment. The EU has got everything wrapped up in loads of tape. Now we also have some changes to the system, so I don't know what the new regulations are going to be. But all of my bottles come with big labels that tell me what I can and cannot do. And some of the supermarkets, they even have their own practices they want us to follow. So it's not like the good old days where I could just jolly around spraying this whenever I wanted.
That's good to know, Mr. Conventional. Yeah, so organic, oh my goodness, I love certification. I feel like so much of the trust that is bestowed upon the movement is rooted in the fact that we have a very, very strong certification system that can really ensure that you know exactly how your food has been produced. You don't have to know the farmers personally. It can be a big farm, small farm, far away. If it's got the certification, you know we've done good. And in terms of the wording, it's also quite tightly controlled as well, which again just bolsters trust. So yeah, I'm all about certification. Sounds good to me.
We, as Regenerative, we don't think we need certification. We're more all about small supply chains and a direct relationship between customers and producers. On the other hand, Regenerative has turned into a bit of a buzzword, so there are lots of people who say they're regenerative, but I'm a bit worried that some of those farmers aren't using practices that I'd agree with, so that is the downside of not having any regulation.
Yeah, I feel the same as Regenerative. I get a bit worried about the word agroecological being kind of exploited, but I'm interested in hearing people talk about maybe bringing in certification for agroecological farms. I really want to be part of a joined up movement. It's kind of what I'm all about, but I'm also reluctant to go organic because I feel really different to some of the really big organic farms that sell to supermarkets, because really I am all about being small, being politically engaged, and selling locally. So they're all really important to me.
Thanks everyone. To wrap up, could you tell me where you see your farm in 15 years' time?
It's a difficult question. It's a good question. I mean, we have a few good years. Hopefully we can buy another tractor, maybe a bigger one, so that we can improve our economies of scale. There's new technology coming out all the time that can help, so as long as I can invest in that, it should keep on giving us kind of good kind of returns. However, there's quite a lot of uncertainty. For me, I'm very reliant on the EU subsidy. What with Brexit, I'm also concerned about Labour and the changes to our subsidies. So, you know, the kids don't want to take over the farming job that I do, but I do want to preserve this farm that we've had. We have. The new suggestion is that to get a subsidy, we'll be putting in hedges and wild strips. So that could be a good way to do some things that improve the farm for the long run. But you know, margins are tight, and we don't make profit every year, so it's hard to see how we're going to be able to pay for those things. And it'll be interesting to see how the subsidies work out. But it's difficult to know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of organic, where we see ourselves in 15 years, really just sort of like building the fertility in the soil, bolstering biodiversity, making it more complete ecosystems, all those good things for nature that just make a lot of sense. In terms of the movement itself, it would be absolutely amazing to get more farms certified organic, smaller farms certified organic, make it a bit more accessible, and yeah, just grow the movement really.
In 15 years, I would like to see a massive improvement in our soil and in our crops, so in the nutrient density of our vegetables. And I'd also like to see lots more regenerative farms popping up all around the world, and hopefully locking up enough carbon in the soil so that we avoid a climate emergency.
Yeah, cool. I mean, I agree. I want to see like a healthy, productive, resilient ecosystem on my farm, diversity of crops, of wildlife, and of farmers working on those farms. I hope there'll be loads more small farms like me, creating those like local livelihoods and fighting for food sovereignty, which is kind of bringing the power back to producers and citizens and out of the hands of big corporations. I'd also be really happy to see lots more regenerative farms and organic farms in the future, because you know we're all working towards the same goal.
Thanks everyone, that was really interesting. So just to sum up, we've heard quite a lot about how agroecological, regenerative and organic are working in similar ways and working towards the same goals. That is, working with nature and providing an alternative to the damaging industrial, conventional form of agriculture that's come to dominate our food system in the last 50 or so years. And at Sutton Community Farm, we describe ourselves as agroecological because we're doing exactly that. We work with nature and we're cultivating a lovely ecosystem here at the farm. But we're also agroecological because we believe that the food system needs completely transforming, and that the social and political elements of that are just as important as the particular ways we farm. We also believe that local, short supply chains are the best way to make sure that farmers are not exploited and that customers can get access to healthy and sustainable food. So thank you for supporting Sutton Community Farm and therefore supporting the worldwide agroecological movement.